Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Desiree Campos Marquez, and I want to welcome you to our semi-annual virtual Cash for College. I'm the manager of Mount SAC's financial aid office here at Mount SAC, and also a mom of some college students, and this event really helped us. So I'm so glad that you're joining us. It's my privilege to welcome you all to today's Cash for College event. We're happy and grateful that you have joined us for the online virtual experience. Our financial aid office and partners have put together a great program. You'll be given all the information and resources to obtain access to available financial aid programs, applications, and many resources throughout the day. It's my privilege to first and foremost introduce Manuel Cerda, Director of Financial Aid, Scholarships, and Veterans in Mount SACS, who would like to welcome you as well. Manuel?
Thank you, Desiree. Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. Welcome and thank you for joining us for this morning's Cash for College event. I would like to congratulate you first and foremost for being here this morning and for many in taking this first step towards an important step towards your educational journey. Right? We have an amazing team here today with many years of experience in the field, and we're all excited to help you navigate through the process today. Many of the staff and volunteers here with you this morning have been financial recipients themselves, like Desiree shared with her family as well. So we're very passionate about helping you. Okay, always remember this event, we're here for you. Okay, this event is for you. Make sure you ask as many questions as possible. The experts are here to assist. We want to make sure you leave today with all your questions answered by the experts. Okay? We're so happy to have you here. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our executive leaders and honorary guests this morning that helped make this happen. Mount SAC President and CEO, Dr. William Scoggins, Vice President of Student Services, Dr. Audrey Yamagata-Noji, Board of Trustees President, Mr. Chen, Board of Trustees members, Trustee Dr. Manuel Baca, Trustee Gary Chow, Trustee Judy Jen Haggerty, Trustee Robert Hidalgo, Trustee Laura Santos, Trustee Peter Hidalgo. Okay? Thank you for your continued support and commitment to our students. Okay? I would like to express my gratitude to the Cash for College Committee, the staff and volunteers, and the Mount SAC community who helped make this happen. This event wouldn't happen without their support. Okay. Again, a warm welcome to everybody. You will find today's event very informative and valuable. And just remember, we're here for you. Make sure you ask all the questions and you leave here today with all your questions answered by the experts. Okay. So enjoy your day.
Thank you, Manuel. Next, please join me in welcoming Mount SAC Vice President of Student Services, Dr. Audrey Yamagata-Noji. Actually, I think Audrey might be having some technical problems. Oh, there she is. Welcome. Good morning.
I thought you were controlling everything, so I was waiting for someone to beam me in. Hey, it is a Saturday morning. The rain is cleared, the sun is out, and you're saying, why am I looking at a computer screen? Because it's about your future. And it's so important for you students and family members and for all of us as a community at Mount SAC. We know from talking to students and parents that one of the stumbling blocks, one of the hesitations about going to college is it's going to cost. Will we have enough money? Or we can't afford it. But what we're telling you is this, I can afford college and we're going to help you get there. So we want to thank you for spending your time this morning. It is an investment in your future. It will take away and ease some of the concerns about what's going to happen to me going forward. How can I get through college? When you start your college careers and the money is taken care of, what an awesome feeling, because you can just get into your classes and study. And remember, here at Mount SAC, we have a lot of support services. Different than high school, you kind of have to sign up and go to it. We'll invite you in, and today you have a little fair, even though it's not in person, where you can go and travel around and find out about all of our student services. And they're here because we want to help you to be successful. So I want to thank you for joining in today. And please know that everybody here at Mount SAC is here to help you. You're part of our family now. And even if chance you decide to go to another college or university, we're still here for you, because sometimes things happen and you may need to still consider us as your college option. So remember, we're here. And I want to thank the entire financial aid team for putting this together. When we were in person, they would be running around all over the campus, making sure everything was set up in all our different venues. And still they run around, but in a different way to make sure everything runs so smoothly virtually. So thank you for tuning in. This is well worth your day, and welcome to Mount SAC, and congratulations on your future.
Thank you, Audrey, for your continuous support. For those of you who may not be aware, she's one of the greatest leaders in our field and is a true supporter of this event. So thank you. At this point, I'd like to introduce Mount SAC President, Dr. Scoggins, who joins us this morning, and we're excited to hear your welcome remarks as well. Dr. Scoggins.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be with you all this morning. I'm Dr. Bill Scoggins, the President and CEO of Mount SAC. And I'm also a proud graduate of La Puente High School. So welcome to all of you. As Manuel said, you took today by joining us a step forward in your future education as a college student. And I want to recognize that step you took today is not without a lot of uncertainty and worry on your part. And that's why we're here today. We're here today to let you know that Mount SAC is here for you in many ways. And while you'll hear a lot about the financial support, you'll also hear a lot of other resources that will make going to college for you a smooth transition. These are very difficult times, not just from the health threat of COVID, but its impact on jobs, on our economy, on your family, and frankly, on your hope for the future. We want to rekindle that hope for you to get you on fire about coming to Mount SAC to go to college. We offer a full range of programs, both here on our campus and virtually online, with a lot of support to make sure, not just financially, that you can apply for wonderful financial aid. Our federal Pell Grant program, which averages grants of $3,000, is the largest in the state. We have the most grants of federal funds of any community colleges. We're really here for you. But you will also hear everything from fee waivers to the support of our food pantry, bus passes, laptop loans, work study programs that allow you to go to school and work to earn additional money. You're going to have a lot of support across the board to be sure that you have the total cost of your experience at Mount SAC, have resources that will enable you to fulfill your potential. Whether that be for an associate degree or a certificate that leads you directly to work in high skill, high wage, high demand occupations, or gives you the first 2 years of your baccalaureate degree to get to the university. We're here for you today, and we're here for you during your entire experience here at Mount SAC. So as Manuel Certes said today, ask those questions. Take notes, follow up. We'll give you a lot of ways to stay connected with us, both virtually and in person. And we're here for you, for your family, and for your future. And thanks for taking this essential step to get started on your future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Scoggins. At this point, last but certainly not least, I would like to introduce Board of Trustees President Jay Chen. Jay, are you with us this morning? Just want to make sure.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
It's okay. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you, Desiree. My name is Chen, and I'm the president of the Board of Trustees for Mount San Antonio Community College, and also a graduate of Wilson High School in Hacienda La Puente Unified School District. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to welcome everyone to our Cash for College event. This has always been one of my favorite events, and unfortunately, we're not able to have it in person this time around, but hopefully in the future, we will be able to. But I know that our staff puts an incredible amount of work into this semi-annual event. Thank you, Manuel Cerda, Desiree Marquez, our amazing teams at the Cash for College Planning Team, Financial Aid Office, the Scholarship Program Office, Admissions and Records, and High School Outreach. We really devote a lot of time into this program because we want you to know that college is affordable. It may seem daunting, but there are a lot of avenues to make it affordable for you and accessible. We're going to teach you today about the federal financial aid programs available to you, as well as the California Dream Act. And one of the best ways to save money for your college dreams is by attending Mount SAC. So I'm so honored that you consider Mount SAC as part of your college plans. We have so much going on our campus. Just last night, we were celebrating our 75th anniversary. It was a huge celebration. Hopefully, many of you were able to be a part of that. And if you visit our campus, you'll see that we are growing and building, and we're making this no different than any four-year university out there. So this is a great opportunity for you to learn about financial aid as well as about Mount SAC. And I really want to thank you for taking time out of your Saturday morning to help build your own college future. Thank you again.
Thank you, Trustee Chen. And thank you to everyone who joins us today. Please now welcome my colleague, Jasmine Vargas, who's going to share a little bit about what to expect for today. Before I pass this on to Jasmine, one of the biggest tips I want to give you all is, as a recipient myself of many scholarships and financial aid that allowed me to go to my dream school, is just by attending today and completing a survey with us, you actually will have your student be able to be put in a drawing for a $1,000 scholarship just by attending today and submitting your survey. So that's my big tip. If there's anything you take away, get the survey done and get a chance to win $1,000. So Jasmine, I'm going to send this over to you. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you, Desiree, and thank you to all our presenters. Good morning and buenos dias to our students and families. My name is Jasmine Vargas, and I am a Mount SAC alumna and a member of the Financial Aid Department team. The Cash for College team has worked hard to put together a virtual event that presents you with information and resources that will help you as you complete your financial aid application. For today's virtual Cash for College event, we'll begin with concurrent presentations, one for FAFSA and one for the California Dream Act application. For students that need to complete and submit the FAFSA, please stay in this webinar. So you don't want to leave the current Zoom that you're in. For our students who are completing the California Dream Act application, we've created a presentation just for you. You can join our expert staff, Christine Santiago and Roman Cardona, on the following Zoom workshop, which is happening at the same time. So if you guys take a look at the screen, you're able to see the different room numbers that are on there. Roman will be presenting on the California Dream Act and different financial aid options that our dreamers have. Again, if you need to complete the California Dream Act application, please follow the Zoom workshop at 9:30. And the Zoom link, I believe, will be dropped into the chat. Yes, so it has been dropped into the chat. For those that need to complete and submit the FAFSA, once again, please make sure that you stay in this current Zoom. The FAFSA and California Dream Act presentations will be followed by a live Q&A session at 11 a.m. This is where our expert staff will answer your financial aid application questions throughout the application, as well as at the end with the live Q&A. At noon, we will host a wonderful resource fair where we'll share information about some of amazing programs and services that Mount SAC has to offer. You'll get the opportunity to meet Mount SAC staff and ask them questions as well. At 1 p.m., we will host the second live Q&A session to answer any remaining financial aid questions that you may have. Students and families, you will also have the opportunity to attend scholarship workshops and/or admissions and record workshops that will be happening concurrently during the live answer sessions. So you'll be able to meet with a scholarship representative and or an admissions and records representative at the same time, which is 11 a.m. and 1 a.m. via the Zoom IDs that are also going to be available in the chat. Please note that you should have received a pre-event email that contained a Cash for College toolkit. This toolkit gives you information about today's events agenda and the Zoom link information to attend the scholarship and admissions and records workshop. You can also access the Cash for College toolbox on our webpage, and we've shared that direct link in the chat. Whether you're a current Mount SAC student, plan to attend Mount SAC, or will be attending another higher education institution, please continue to connect with us for more information on upcoming live virtual workshops, demos, and assistance. We are always happy to help. Before we get started, we want to review some tips and reminders to help you make the most out of this presentation. We have enabled the question and answer or Q&A feature where you're able to submit your financial aid application questions during the presentation. We have expert staff that will be answering any incoming questions via this feature. So if you have any pressing questions or want additional information on the topic, please feel free to use the Q&A feature to submit these questions. We recommend you take the time during the virtual event to get started and complete your financial aid application. Refer to your pre-event email you received for contain checklist on FAFSA or California Dream Act. These worksheets will help you prepare for completing your financial aid application. They give you basic information like what documents to gather and how to complete and submit your application. We've also provided links to the worksheets and links to the survey. Lastly, to optimize your viewing, please use the following steps to turn on the side-by-side mode. Click on View Options at the top of the shared screen. Make sure side-by-side mode is selected. A check mark will appear. And don't forget, by completing today's event survey, you will be entered to win a $1,000 scholarship. With that, let's zoom into our workshop again. If you need to complete the California Dream Act application, please log off and join the particular Zoom workshop. The Zoom meeting ID will be shared in the chat box. And for our FAFSA applicants, please stay in this webinar. For today's FAFSA's presentation, please welcome Mount SAC Financial Aid Specialists, Paola Gutierrez and Rudy Sanchez. Paola will get us started with the application and Rudy will take us through the finish line. Paola and Rudy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, and welcome everyone. We're so excited to have you here today. Today, we are going to be walking you step by step on how to complete the FAFSA application. Before we get started though, we do want to introduce you to some financial aid basics and give you some general tips as you complete the application. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start this presentation with answering a very general question. What is financial aid? In its simplest terms, financial aid is money that is available to help you pay for college. Financial aid comes from different sources. It comes from federal, state, institutional, and private sources. Institutional means money that is available by your school to assist you with funding your education. Private sources can be anything from a private business, a nonprofit, even your employer. There are various sources of financial aid, and all of these sources combined are available to help you pay for your tuition and fees, your room and board, your books and supplies, and other educational expenses that you may come across as you continue your journey in higher education. In order to be eligible for these sources of financial aid, you do need to apply. So you may be asking yourself, how do I apply? In today's presentation, we're going to be focusing on how to apply and submit your free application for federal student aid. The link that you see on the screen, fafsa.ed.gov, is where you will be able to access the FAFSA application. For the remainder of this walkthrough, we will be referring to the application as FAFSA. The FAFSA application requires that you are a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen. On the screen, you see a list of Eligible non-citizen categories, that is permanent resident, refugee, and asylee, T visa holder. However, we do encourage you to review the application and check to see if any status that you have may qualify you as an eligible non-citizen. If you do meet either the US citizen or eligible non-citizen criteria, then we encourage you to submit your FAFSA application by the priority deadline of March 2nd. March 2nd is an important deadline, as this deadline allows you to maximize all the potential financial aid resources that are available. Missing this deadline could result in you not being eligible for certain state or even some schools' institutional money. If you happen to miss the deadline, don't worry. Please still submit your application. The important thing is that an application is submitted and that the school is able to proceed with determining your financial aid eligibility. Now, how do schools get a copy of your application? On the screen, you see Mount SAC school code. This is a good screen to take a screenshot of. If you plan to continue your education with us at Mount SAC, then this is the school code that you'll want to use to help you to add on the application in order for us to get a copy of it. But you may be able to add up to 10 schools, and we'll let you know in what section of the application you will be doing so. It is important that you create a username and password to be able to access the application, just like you do for any other account that you have. Now, with the FSA ID, the Federal Student Aid ID, this ID is extremely important, as this ID will help the FAFSA authenticate that it is you who is completing the application. Only you can complete the application and only you can create that username and password. With this username and password, you will be able to sign your application electronically and you will be able to do so online. Now, if your parent does not have a social security number, that is not a problem. They will still be able to sign the application. However, they won't be able to do so through an FSA ID. They will be doing so through a paper signature page that we'll walk you through at the end of the presentation. You sign up for that FSA ID on fsa.ed.gov. Thank you. All right, what types of financial aid available? When you submit your FAFSA application, you want to know exactly what type of financial aid you may be considered for. There are three main sources of financial aid that we want to introduce you to. The first is free money, earned money, then borrowed money. Free money is gift aid. That is free money that you do not ever have to repay. And that includes scholarships and grants. So if in your financial aid offer, you see a financial aid award that says scholarship or grants, accept it. That's your free money to use to help you fund your education. Then you may also see federal work study. Federal work study is a form of employment, student employment, and you may earn this money as you go in your semester or academic year. Then there is borrowed money. The Department of Education wants to ensure that if there are any gaps in funding your education, that you have access to additional sources of money besides the free money and the employment. This come in the form of federal student loans, whether it is subsidized, unsubsidized, or even parent loans. These loans are available to help you pay and fund any educational expenses that you may have. What documents are required? In order for you to complete the application and make the best out of the application experience, we want you to take a screenshot of this. It's really important so that you know exactly what documents you want to have available when walking through the application. You want to have a copy of your Social Security card. Social Security card is so important so that you are entering your information exactly the way it appears on that card, your name especially. If you are an eligible non-citizen that fits under the permanent resident category, then you want to have a copy of that permanent resident card. You have your driver's license as well. Then 2020 income tax returns. If either you, the student, or the parent who's completing the application with you files taxes and file taxes in 2020, then you want to have income tax returns available. Copies of 2020 W-2s and other records of income earned from work. This is especially important if you are non-filers, you did not file taxes. You also want to have copies of bank statements, records of investments, and records of 2020 untaxed income. Examples of untaxed income are child support paid, untaxed IRA distributions and pensions, or annuity payments. If any of the last few things that I said don't sound familiar, or things that you are not sure if you have, you may not have these, they're not required. If it's not applicable, then don't worry. You don't necessarily have to have that. But the others, definitely make sure you grab those. Now, to make the best out of this experience, we want to give you some application tips on how to complete the application. The first and most important is that as you create your username and password and your save keys, that you have these available when completing the application. You want to make sure that after creating them, you save them in a safe place, write them down, type them into your phone or computer, and make sure that you can easily access this. Very important because every year that you're interested in receiving financial aid, you have to renew your application and you will need this information to be able to access your application. If you happen to misplace it or lose it, there is a way for you to retrieve it, but it'll take some time. So save that information. Our next tip is that you save the application frequently. Make sure that you're saving it so that you're not losing any information that you've previously added. Our next tip is that you use the previous and continue buttons at the bottom of the application. When we access the screens, you will be able to see the links at the bottom of the page. We don't want to use the arrows in your browser at the top or the arrows in your actual computer or the enter button because that could cause the entire page to reload. It can kick you out and you can lose your information. And our last tip is that you use the help and hints feature for additional guidance. Throughout the application, there are hyperlinked words that you will be able to click on and find more information on. If you happen to not know what that means, there is a question mark icon next to the questions that will give you more information on what that question is requesting. So definitely use those as we go along. All right. Let's get started. Let's get started with completing the FAFSA form. When you log into fafsa.ed.gov, you will see this home screen. There are two ways to log into the application. The first is for new users, and the second is for returning users. For the purpose of this application, we will be going through the walkthrough as a new student. So we would click that first link that says Start Here. Once we've done so, we will be able to see the following screen. In your screen, you will be able to see three alternatives. One is for the student, who is typically the individual that is accessing the application. The next is for parent, and the last is for a preparer, less commonly used. So in this case, we are the student. We are going to mark the box that says, I am a student and want to access the FAFSA form. And there are a few ways for you to log in. There is the login button, and then there is a way for you to create an FSA ID in this section if you haven't done so already. And then there is a way for you to use personal identifiers, such as your name, social security number, and date of birth. However, to actually start typing in the application and start entering information, or to sign the application, you will need that username, that FSA username and password. In our case, our student has entered their username, password. They're going to hit login, and then they will be able to move forward and see the following screen. Before continuing with the application does give you a disclaimer. So make sure that you read through it. They want to make sure that you understand that this is a federal application. Once you've done so, you will click accept if you accept the terms, and it'll allow you to move forward. All right, let's move forward. In this section, you're able to see that there are two academic years open. The first is 2022-2023. Then right next to it, it's a blue tab for 2021 and 2022. If you are interested in receiving financial aid for fall 2021 or spring 2022, even summer 2022, then you would be doing the 2021-2022 application. For this walkthrough, we are focusing on the brand new application that just opened on October 1st, and that is the 2022-2023 application starting with fall of 2022 next year. Once we've identified the application that we need, we will click on the button that says Start a 2022-23 FAFSA form. All right, moving forward. Earlier, I said there, save your username, save your password, and save your safe key. Anytime you access the application, you are able to create a safe key that is anywhere between 4 to 8 digits long. The safe key should be a number that is easy for you to remember. You will be able to stop the application if you're missing information and then come back to it using the save key and start right where you left off. If you and your parent are in separate places and you complete your sections and now parent needs to complete their sections, you can give them the save key so that they can access that same application. So make sure you save it, otherwise you'll lose your information and you'll have to start all over again. All right, we've entered our save key and now we're gonna hit continue in the corner there. The following section gives you a frequently asked questions that students have on completing the application. This is good information for you to review. You can click on each of the questions and it'll bring down the drop-down answer. Once you've reviewed these questions, then we can press the continue button at the bottom. This will allow us to move forward to the next section. This next section here, do you see the 7 sections at the top? This is each of the sections that we'll need to complete to get to the very end to sign and submit. This allows you to know where you are in the step, which step you are on as you complete the application. This first section with the personal information for the student lets you know that the application will refer to you and your always to refer to the student. So make sure that when you're answering questions that you know exactly who the application is referring to. Is it asking you or your, or is it asking for parent 1 or parent 2 information? Now, in this section, we're going to start with the social security number, name, and date of birth. If you have a FSA username, you will notice that the social security number section will be grayed out and you won't be able to correct that information because the FSA has already authenticated you and is already bringing in that information over. Once we've entered the other information, we'll go ahead and move forward with continue. This will bring us to the email and phone. Very important that you enter an email address that you will be using to complete the application. If you don't have a safe email or already an email that you rely on, then you'll want to create one, especially as you begin the college application process. It's important that you have an email that you can rely on and that you will be frequently checking as you may be getting important notices from the application. Say you don't submit the application successfully, the FAFSA will send you reminders that your application is still outstanding. Your telephone number is also important that you enter a phone number that can easily be accessed. And if at any point in future years, when you're completing future applications, you change your phone number, verify that this information is updated. Once we've entered our information, we'll hit continue. This will bring us to our address section. Very important that you enter an address that you have access to, especially for those students that are moving away from college. You want to have an address that you can easily get to or a trusted individual can collect your mail. The reason being is that there are times when FAFSA may need to send you paper forms and you want to make sure that you can access those in a timely manner. Okay, we've entered our address. We're going to hit continue. All right, this brings us to the student residency and eligibility section. In our case, our student has lived in California for the last 5 years. So this is asking us to verify if we've physically been in the state of California, not if we are US citizen or a legal permanent resident. This is asking if you are physically in the state of California for the last 5 years. And in this case, our student would say no, and then they would enter what is your state of legal residence. If they weren't living in the state of California, they would be able to click on the drop-down menu to select the state that they were living in, And then it's going to ask them the following question. Did you become a legal resident of California before January 1st, 2017? And the student would answer accordingly. If you do say, I have lived in the state of California for the last 5 years, you won't see those last two questions. The application does use smart logic. So as you answer questions, it may remove questions or add questions depending on how you respond. All right, once we've entered our answers, we'll be able to move forward to the following section. Citizenship status. There was a section that asked for your citizenship status. Remember earlier we talked about the categories that are eligible to complete the FAFSA application. One of them is, are you a US citizen? If you are a US citizen, you would enter yes, and then you would be able to move forward. If you are not a US citizen, then you would answer the question about eligible non-citizen status. In this example, the student entered that they are a legal permanent resident. So they have a legal permanent resident card that has a USCIS number referred to as alien registration number on the application. Very important that you enter that number accordingly, because your application does get sent to Department of Homeland Security for verification that it is you who is completing the application. So enter those numbers correctly. If you don't, then your school may ask you for copies of those documents to input them accordingly on your application. All right, the following section is a screenshot of how that screen looks like once it's already been completed. Our student answered yes. They answered that they are not a US citizen and eligible non-citizen. They've entered the number, and we're gonna hit continue once that section is done. In the following section, you will find information on your student education. The student education is asking you, this section is asking you where you are at or where you will be at when you begin the 2022-23 school year. So for those of you that aren't graduating until next year, very important that you're thinking in the future when completing this section, not in today's or what you would enter for today's answer. Okay, we're going to break down what each of these sections are in the following screen. So let's start with your high school completion status. If you will have earned a high school diploma, a GED or state authorized high school equivalent, if you were homeschooled, then you would enter the response accordingly. Those are some of the options that you'll be able to see in the drop-down menu. If none of those apply to you, then you would select none of the above. Make sure that you answer again based on where your standing will be at the beginning of 2022-2023. The following question asks, what degree or certificate will you be working on beginning the 2022-23 school year? The options that you will see in that section are first bachelor's degree, second bachelor's degree, associate's certificate or diploma, teaching credential, college/graduate professional degree, MBA, MD, PhD, or other. That is very overwhelming for some of us, so let's break that down. First bachelor's degree. First bachelor's degree is typically earned within 4 years. That is a student that has attended college or university and has earned their bachelor's degree. Keep in mind that some bachelor's degree may be earned sooner, but that is the most common timeline. For some students, they are pursuing their associate's degree at a community college, so they will be selecting associate's degree. Be sure not to select college or graduate professional degree if you have not earned a bachelor's degree or you're not starting a master's or professional program such as law school, medical school. Answering a yes to that question could impact your financial aid eligibility if that's not what your standing is. Okay, so make sure that you read through those and answer what you believe you will be starting in 2022-23. Okay. The following question, will you have your first bachelor's degree beginning the 22-23 school year? The options that you'll see on the screen are either yes or no. If you have not earned your bachelor's degree, please say no. If you will have your bachelor's degree, but you're going back to school to take additional courses, then you want to make sure that you say yes. The following question, what will your college grade level be when beginning the 22-23 school year? The following options are what you will be able to enter. Your college grade level can either be never attended college. That means you have never earned any college credits and never attended college in the past. If you have attended college before, maybe you took some summer classes at a community college, but it is your first time officially starting college, then you can select attended college before first year. Depending on what your grade level is as you progress in the future years, you will be answering those questions accordingly. If you are pursuing your master's or any type of professional degree, then you would say answer first year college graduate professional if it's your very first time. And once you've completed your first year of that professional school, you would select continuing graduate and professional or beyond for future years. All right. Are you interested in being considered for work study? The following question in that screen asks about federal work study. That's the item that we reviewed earlier on in the presentation when we talked about the different sources of financial aid. So this is your opportunity to let your school know whether, yes, you're interested in receiving federal work study and being able to use some of that student employment experience while you're in school. Answering yes does not guarantee that you will be offered a job. And it also does not force you to get a job. So things change, life changes, we make different choices as we progress. So if you happen to answer yes and you are considered and you do receive that offer when you start school, doesn't mean that you're required to use it. You simply will not seek employment and will not use it. If you know for sure, you know what, I'm going to go to school, I'm just going to be focusing on my academics, I do not want to be considered for any type of employment, then you would say no. Now, if you're not sure what you want to do, if you're not sure if yes or no, then you can select the don't know category. I do want to give you a heads up though that some schools, if you select don't know, they might not automatically consider you for the funding, okay? So answer that question based on what your plans are. Now, the following question for student selective service. The selective service in current law requires students to register for this FAFSA applicants who were assigned the male category and are between the ages of 18 and 25 are required to register, but keep in mind that it's not the same thing as enlisting in the military. So answering yes or the following question, if you say yes to the previous questions, we'll ask you, well, do you want to register? The FAFSA allows you to register electronically. So if you say yes, it'll register you. Otherwise, you can go to sss.gov. Keep in mind that if you do so, again, does not mean that you are enlisting for the military. FAFSA just wants you to make you aware of the current law that 18 to 25 individuals who were assigned the sex of male have to register for selective service. All right. The following section shows you what the screens will look like depending on how you answer. In this case, the student has said that yes, they were assigned sex of male. The following question will ask them if they're registered. They will answer accordingly, and then they will hit continue. They will then, if they say no to the question where I have not registered with selective service, then again, it's that question. Well, do you want us to register you? If you say yes, FAFSA would do so automatically. And then you can hit continue there. All right. Driver's license. If you have a driver's license, you can enter this information, but it is completely optional. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. We'll hit continue. It'll bring us to the following screen where it's asking about foster care and parent education completion. The very first question, are you a foster youth or were you in the foster care system at any time? If you're not sure what that means or if that is your case, then you can click on the question mark icon next to that question and it'll give you more information. Then it's asking us about our parents' high school completed, the highest school completed. For FAFSA purposes, a parent is a biological parent or an adoptive parent only. Okay, so you would answer those questions using the drop-down menu that'll bring you the following categories: middle school, high school, college or beyond, or other unknown. If you're not sure, again, you can put other unknown. If you do know, then you can answer accordingly. This question is important for some programs. In colleges, they may use this to determine whether you meet that first generation college student status. Once we've answered those questions accordingly, then we'll hit continue. The following question asks, have you ever received federal student aid? So if this is the very first time that you're completing the application, you might not have ever received federal student aid, such as Pell Grant or federal student loans in the past. If you are a continuing student, you're a renewal student who has received financial aid and has received either federal grant, federal supplemental education opportunity grants, or student loans, then you would be saying yes to this question. Once we've answered the question, we would hit continue, bringing us to the next screen, which is going to ask about high school information. Earlier, we answered a question about what our status would be at the start of the 22-23 school year. If you indicated that you would have a high school diploma, the FAFSA wants to verify the name of your high school. So we would be entering high school information in the next screens. You would see that it's requesting the state, the city, and the name of the high school. Once we've entered that information in these sections here, we would hit search. After searching, the application will automatically look for your high school. It'll locate your high school. If you verify that, yes, that is the high school that I attended, then we would hit continue, and it will save your high school information onto the application. The next section is the college search. So this is where we get to add all the schools that we plan on attending. If you, again, are interested in Mount SAC, then this is where you would enter that school code that we talked about. And again, you can add up to 10 schools on the application. But if you're looking into more than 10 schools, if you're applying to more than 10 schools, don't worry about it. Add the first 10, and then you can come back later and add the rest of your schools. All right, let's show you how to add those schools. There are two ways. The first section allows you to enter the school state, city, and the school name. So if you don't know what the school code is, then again, don't worry, you can just enter that information and it'll allow you to search. If you happen to know the school's federal school code, you would be using that second blue tab next to the name, the search by name and city or state. All right, in this section, this student is planning on attending Mount San Antonio College. So they've entered state, city, school name, they've hit search, and it's brought up Mount San Antonio College at the bottom. Now, clicking on the checkbox next to it, it'll bring up that blue check mark indicating that the application has captured this school, and it'll be sending your application to Mount San Antonio College. Be very, very careful about making sure that you select that box. If you don't, it won't add the school, okay? We've selected yes, we've come to the next screen. The next screen wants to know, well, okay, you want to go to Mount San Antonio College. They want to know what your housing plans are. Just like with federal work study or some of the questions you're answering on this application, plans change. So you want to answer the question to the best of your ability, exactly what you plan on doing. If you know this is a school that is near you and you know you're going to be living at home, then you can select with parents. If this school is far away and you may need to find an apartment near campus to be able to access school, then you would select off campus. If the school offers housing on campus, dormitories or apartments on campus, and you know that that's where you will be living, then you would be selecting on campus. Now, if let's say for Mount San Antonio College, we say, well, we're going to be living at home with our parent. So we select with parent. But once we've started the school year or closer to the school year, we find out like, you know what? No, I'm going to have to move closer to campus. You can make this correction, but it's very important that you contact your school first. You would, in this case, you would want to contact us at Mount San Antonio College to let us know that your plans have changed, and we would let you know how we would go about making that correction. And that is the same for every other school. You want to contact the office first and let them know that your plans have changed so they can advise you accordingly. All right, let's select our housing plan and hit continue. Great. Now we're answering questions about marital status. These questions, unlike the educational questions that you're answering based on what your status will be when you're starting the school year, this question, be very careful on how you answer it. It specifically says, what is your marital status as of today? So if I'm submitting my application today, October 9th, 2021, then I want to make sure that I answer based on my marital status today. If you are planning on getting married and your marital status changes during the school year and you need to make a correction, just like the housing section, contact the office before you go in and make any corrections to the application. All right, if we hit that drop-down menu, you would be able to see the following categories. The application allows you to enter a category of single, married or remarried, separated, divorced, or widowed. You would answer accordingly based on your marital status today. Our student has answered single, and they're going to go ahead and hit continue, allowing us to see the next few questions. The following questions are asking for dependent children. Remember, this is, do you now have or will you have children who will receive more than half of your support from you between July 1st, 2022 and June 30th, 2023? It's referring to you, as the student, okay? So you would answer those questions based on your situation. Do you, the student, have any children who receive more than half of your support? If that is the case, you would say yes. If that is not the case, you'd say no. And then you'd answer the next question on other dependents. Other than children or your spouse, do you have other dependents that rely on you, that receive more than 50% of their support from you and will do so from now until June 30th, 2023? That is the case, yes. If that is not the case, you have no other dependents, then we want to say no. Once we've answered these questions, we'll hit continue. All right, this brings us to a list of dependency questions. The application asks a series of questions to determine what you are considered for financial aid purposes. Keep in mind, this is for financial aid purposes only. There are two different categories that the application will result in, either dependent or independent. If it determines that you are considered dependent, it will ask you to enter parent information. If it determines that you are independent, then it'll allow you to move forward without any parent information. Some of the questions that are used to determine the status are on the screen. You want to make sure that you review the question and that you answer accordingly if any of those apply to you. If none of those apply, you're not in active military, you're not a veteran, or you weren't at any point awarded of the court or any of the other categories, then you want to say none of the above and hit continue. Our student would indicate none of the above, they hit continue, then they will see the following question. It's asking about any situation where the student at any point was either considered homeless or was considered self-supporting or at risk of being homeless. So any housing insecurity issues would be relayed on the application here. If that is your situation, you would hit yes. If that is not your situation, if you were not at any point homeless or at risk of being homeless, then you want to say no. Once we've answered that question, we'll hit continue. All right. The application, based on the way we answered the questions previously, determined that we are a dependent student. So now it's asking us, yes, you are a dependent student and you will need to enter parent information. We have some students who, based on any special circumstance, are unable, they're still considered dependent, but they're unable to provide parent information. If that is the case, you would want to answer this question here. You would, if you have parent information and they will be signing your application, you will say, yes, I will provide information about my parents. If you are not able to provide parent information, then it's the second bubble that says, I am unable to provide information about my parents. That allows the student to move forward with the application, excluding parental information. Our student indicated that they will be providing their parents' information. Once they've done so, they will hit continue. All right. This next section is a list of, it's informational, just like the previous section that had some FAQs. It wants to tell you exactly whose information you will be providing. Again, Parent for financial aid purposes is referred to as an individual who is either your biological parent or a step parent. Now, depending on what that individual's marital status is, you will need to gather the documents necessary based on their status. So this allows you to check each category. If your biological parents or adoptive parents are living together, then it'll tell you you will need both of their income information. If they're divorced, then you will enter information based on the parent that you live with the majority of the time. We'll go over some of that a little bit more in this next section. Again, parent is either biological or adoptive. Who is not your parent? So if you consider grandparents, widowed step parents, foster parents, legal guardians, aunts, uncles, brothers, or sisters a parent, but they never legally adopted you, unfortunately, for financial aid purposes, we cannot include them as a parent. And so in your case, you'd go back, and if you're not able to provide parental information, you would say, I'm not able to provide parent information. Be sure not to enter any of the other individuals on your application. Now, if your parents are married and living together, again, you would be entering information for both of them. If your parents are not living together, then you would answer no, and then you would enter information based on the marital status if they're maybe not legally married, but living together. That is the case, you would still want to report their information together. The following section is which parent did you live with the most over the past 12 months? So based on how you've answered these questions, say your parents are not living together, they're divorced, they're separated, or never married, but not living together anymore. You want to use the parent with whom you've been living with the majority of the time in the last 12 months. Be very careful that if your parent happens to be remarried, the parent that you're living with the majority of the time, if that parent is now remarried and you have a step parent, you will need that step parent's information when completing the application. All right, we're going to go ahead and select the marital status here based on the parent's information. In this case, the student will select married or remarried. And then the application will ask us to enter the month and year. Very important that when entering this information, you don't guess, you don't make assumptions, that you talk to your parents and ask them, parents, what is your marital status as of today? And also, when did that marital status take effect? You want to make sure that you answer appropriately, because if you don't and you happen to be selected for verification later and the school finds some conflict, this could result in delays in us or your other financial aid offices being able to process your financial aid offer. So make sure that you don't take any lucky guesses. You find out exactly what the month and year are, and then you hit continue.